Sorry.
Oh,
What are you doing, Mel?
it's the same cologne that Virat Kohli wears, and keeps in the dressing room. It's called Eau de Victory. Whew, it's a bit whiffy. What are you doing?
Thankfully, I'm far away from you, so I don't know what it smells like. Well, this is what I've been doing. This is basically pruning the roses before anybody else gets any other ideas. And I read your piece on Justin Langer. They do say every rose has its thorn, and seems like some thorny issues that the Australian dressing room needs to take care of.
Oh, wow, that's almost poetic. What a wonderful way to start the show. Let's roll the bumper. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the good, the bad, and the ridiculous. What feels like a very tumultuous day. I don't know about you, but I've actually got my phone with me because I'm just preparing myself for something, Cricket Australia to have a release or something, just to clarify things, or I don't know what. But it's a bit of a crazy day here in Australia. It's been a bit of a cray week, as I said, around the world of cricket. We've seen some amazing Test cricket played in different parts of the world. And while in Australia, it just all seems to be going a bit belly up. But we'll get onto that. Hello to everyone who's joining us now. If you have any nominations for anything that you think has been good, bad, or ridiculous through the week, please drop it into the chat. We'll try and get as many of them in as we possibly can. We really, really enjoy having you here. Sonu says, where were you both? Sonu, we were here. We are.
Every week.
Yeah. And Arpan says, hello. Meanwhile, yeah, look, there you go. Sonu. Arpan says, hello. And the Indian says, your show is so exciting. Is that your mum tweeting? I know Ollie thinks it's exciting. I can hear Ollie in the background.
I know. She's had barking issues. She, like I said, she's going through a very rebellious phase. If we weren't live, I would have called her in, but I just let her out. Otherwise, she would want to be on this show. I know there are some who prefer watching Ollie on this show than me, but well, unfortunately, you don't get Ollie yet. I know. Put your hand out, man. Put your hand out.
We've got a nomination coming in from the Direct Hit, who says, good, the whole Indian side walking down to the long room, which is England's territory, to greet their heroes, sent a strong message. We are coming for you, England. I think that message might have been sent with the resounding victory that came in the end for India as well. But I mean, it's just a continuation of this fantastic streak that India is on. Okay, World Test Championship final, there's a little blip in there, but certainly in series, I mean, again, the fact that India are able to produce match-winning performances, often where you least expect them, or from players that you might not expect certain things from. Certainly that Bumrah and Shami innings was an absolute cracker and really important to them as well. The bowlers have done what we've seen them do in the past sort of 8-9 months, just in providing incredible variety, and they were fired up too. I don't think I've ever seen Bumrah that fired up as he was in that final innings. Man, he was going for it, wasn't he? It was again that feeling of confidence, and winning breeds confidence as well. And I just think you can see from that 36 not out in Adelaide, something very special has happened, and it's continuing now.
Yeah, I mean, what happened after 36 all out was wear it like a badge of honor, said Ravi Shastri, and they've done that. You're right. Indian Test cricket saved that blip in the World Test Championship final. They just seem to find ways to come back, right? I remember all the Australians raving about how you just couldn't knock this Indian team down. Like Australia kept throwing punches at them, but they just kept coming back. And like you said, they found different people to do that. And that it's continued on to the England tour and to the home of cricket for some. For me, the home of cricket was Wankhede Stadium. Now it's the Adelaide Oval. But for a lot of people, the home of cricket is at Lord's. And to see them do what I know the Direct Hit has said, all of them come together in that long room. as Bumrah and Shami walked back up. I think it happened more during the lunch break than after India declared, but it happened again. But just, that really summed up where this Indian team is right now. In terms of like everywhere you look, there are heroes, walking up to this mark every time. It's no longer just a case of you just expect Virat Kohli to fire, or it's a Pujara series, or it's a Rahane series. Like, just look at this test match, right, Mel? People actually didn't forget, but the KL Rahul 100 almost felt like it happened 2 weeks prior to what happened on day 5. Then there's Pujara and Rahane and what they did on day 4, even though a lot of people don't agree with you and me as to the importance of that role. And we will talk about that. And the Rohit Sharma KL Rahul partnership on day 1, after England chose to field first in bowling conditions, everything worked towards India finally, recording a resounding win, and to do it at Lords, and that moment when the Indian team came together. Also, what was the one issue that India had going into the series? It was the batting down the order. Is why they were struggling with the balance and all these questions of should Ashwin play, should how can you have 4 fast bowlers who can't bat? But I guess everything's been thrown out of the window now when Shami is scoring, and it's not like they were bowled out eventually. It didn't look like Shami and Bumrah were going to get out. They could have just batted the whole day out. They could have done a Dravid Lakshman if India weren't gunning for victory.
Let's just remember, you and I have been talking about Bumrah being the new Shastri since before the Australian series even began, and it's happening. It's
low rise
up the order like a tracer bullet. He goes. We will see. Just a comment from Hitesh Moria, who says, "What an epic game of cricket." Yes, we'll just have to agree with there. Oh, my comments are jumping around. They're flying in. My goodness, they are flying in. Sorry if I can't keep pace with them. But thanks, everyone, for joining us. This is really exciting to have you all here. We've got a nomination for good. I don't know if it's good or ridiculous, from Akshat. Good. Javo masquerading as an Indian during a tense test match. I don't know if there's too much to say about that other than it was absolutely ridiculous. You get in trouble if you laugh at that.
No, I know. And the most ridiculous thing was the fact that Javo thought he could get into the Indian team without a beard. Yeah, this Indian team. And I'm pretty sure, Mel, this was the first time India had a full bowling attack with full beards. Like, Shardul Thakur had a little goatee in the previous test. Ashwin has flirted with having a beard, but most times he's played test cricket with when he's been clean shaven. So, Javo, you need to do better next time.
Yeah, I definitely need the beard. Oh.
What's coming up?
Our producers have found a piece. I'm proud to be the first white person to play for India, Javo, he's got a pretty decent belly going on there. And I'm not too sure about the number he chose, was 69 as well. Bit of a worry there. A comment there here from Vicky Bhatnagar, who says, whenever India wins a historic game, YouTube better show up like immediately after the game. Sahil Mehra says, hello, guys. Top of the morning to you both. And Sam PK says, I was just wondering where you guys were. Yeah, so is it a really bad time for us, to come on afterwards, because it finishes at sort of like 4 o'clock in the morning. So apologies for that. It's kind of a bit difficult for us with both of our full-time jobs in doing it every single day with the time zones that are there. Now, Venkata says, happy to watch this live. And we've got people saying hello to Ollie. Everyone's very happy that we're here. Gosh, I know. Sorry we haven't been here. Here's one question from Dave MC. Pope in place of Sibley. We've spoken a bit between ourselves about England's top order and the problems there. First time in history that both England's openers have been bowled out for a duck in the first test. All top 3 have made ducks in this test. The question that comes with it, we know it's bad, right? That it's not good. That top order is in some serious trouble for England. But whenever you say, okay, replace those people, you do have to say who with. Pope up at the top. I don't know. But it's other players that you look at and seeing, people talk about Liam Livingston come in, which I think is mostly been based on his white ball form. And England have tried to bring white ball players in. Probably the only one who's really stuck coming in sort of as a batter from the white ball game is Joss Butler. Yeah. And I think the jury's still a bit out on he lasted a lot more balls. So that was something positive from him, I guess, in that situation. But has he been a resounding success in Test cricket? I don't know if you would say that. So I know that names sort of come up like Joe Clark. They've given Haseeb Hameed a chance, and I was very, very disappointed for him. And I hope they give him a longer run because, I think they've given these other players a really decent run. Players like Crawley and Sibley and Burns have had a really decent run at it. So you bring someone like Hameed in, I think you'd have to give him the same sort of opportunity. But where are they going to get them from? Everything's sort of so focused on the 100 at the moment, and then now they're playing the Blast. And this is part of the problem when you completely bisect the season and devalue the county championship, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this earlier as well. There are some names popping out who seem to have done well in the county championship, but that was a while back. It's been only the 100 and the Royal London Cup, which has been happening simultaneously right now in England. But directly in response to Dave MC's option, I guess the one thing they can do is get Haseeb Hameed to open, because he is an opener. I mean, he has come back into contention as an opener. They played him at 3 because they still wanted to give Burns and Sibley another go at opening together. But clearly that hasn't worked out. And my issue with Dom Sibley is not the fact that, his techniques all over the place, or people with different techniques have succeeded in cricket. It's just that some people compare him with Pujara as to the amount of time he spends at the crease, but he never looks in. If anything, if I was in the dressing room waiting to come out to bat, I would always feel insecure just watching Dom Sibley struggle out there. Unlike, when Pujara looks, at least he looks rock solid. Yes, people can have complaints about him not scoring runs, but you're at least assured that, okay, the pitch is not playing, doesn't have demons in it. But you see Sibley bat, you're always nervous when you walk out. I don't know how Joe Root does it, but, the time has come for him to go, unfortunately. So maybe Haseeb Hameed goes back up the order, and Zach Crawley comes back. Ollie Pope, they've invested a lot of time and energy in him, have England. So maybe he comes back as well. But lots of changes, I guess, will be coming soon. Sam Curran, King Pair. Yes, he got a wicket of Virat Kohli, but that's the only wicket he's got all series. I mean, in 2 test matches. So too many questions.
Crawley depriving Moeen Ali, because we all know it needs to be Moeen Ali who gets Virat Kohli out. It's one of the unwritten laws of cricket. It has to be Moeen Ali.
And Virat Kohli, then reacting as if, the world has come to an end. That has to happen as well.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. Look, let's bring in a nomination we got on Twitter from our good friend Danny, who I know is an avid watcher of this show and likes to give me a lot of stick on Twitter. Danny nominates Joe Root. I think this is ridiculous. Joe Root taking the blame for losing to India despite scoring over half of the runs by England's top 7 in the match. It's a really funny one because there are clearly questions about some of his captaincy in that final innings. The final batting innings second innings from India batting. It does seem really harsh that he should shoulder all of the blame for this, because I think, there are wider problems than Joe Root's captaincy. He has been the only one sort of really standing up. He's the only one you feel at the moment in that side that's got a good chance of making decent runs, that you feel really confident that he's going to make something. And he has been generally in really good form in this series. Some of the captaincy stuff, when that they got sucked in, and we saw this happen in Australia, and you and I have spoken about this, they fell into the same trap that Australia fell into, of getting really sucked into the short stuff. Then they were trying funky fields, and they were trying so hard to search for those wickets and be really aggressive in taking them, where perhaps it was a moment to actually just pull back, needing a calm head and just sticking to the plans you would normally stick to at that time, and have enough patience. It was like they were trying to force the game. And I think some credit for that might go back to Pujara and Rahane. But, when people criticize Pujara, he frustrates sides. He frustrates them so much because he slows the game down and he makes it go at his pace. He's tiring out the bowlers. And so then by the time he and Rahane come out, they start trying to pick up the pace and go hell for leather. And they just really got sucked in. And it felt like that was a moment where they just let the game drift. So I guess that's where Joe Root admitted tactically he got it wrong and would do things differently. So I can see why he takes the blame, but also I'd hate to see him, take too much on just himself, because it's not just the captain. You've got other senior players, senior bowlers who've got plenty of experience. You've got the coaching staff sort of all around you. So, it's not, I don't think it's just him. And I don't think he can be, you can just point the finger at Joe Root by any means.
Nah, you can't. But, at the end of the day in cricket, it falls back on the captain. And I've always said this, right, on our show, plenty of times. Joe Root.
Look at that face. Look at that face.
Yeah. Is that a teardrop I see, or is that just my computer screen? I think it's my laptop screen, just under his left eye. But, I've always said Joe Root, world-class batsman, world-class captain. I don't know. Look at him, unfortunately, looking up at the heavens for some answers. And unfortunately, that's what seemed to be the case with England on day 5. Our good friend Martin Lawrence also wants to know what on earth were the England bowlers doing on the last morning. And yes, Mel, yes, everybody needs to take responsibility. You have senior players like Jimmy Anderson there. Johnny Bairstow's played 76, 77 test matches. Josh Butler is vice-captain. But that's the thing with Joe Root. I think when it comes to captains as well, it comes to body language. And that's just him. I mean, he can't change his body language and personality just because he's captain. But you look at him, and does he always look assured as captain when things aren't going his way? I'm not sure. Virat Kohli also at times can look very animated, very, not looks like he's about to lose the plot. But, that's where you need the senior players to come in and help you out. And clearly that didn't happen. Jimmy Anderson bowled 3 overs and just stood at mid-on. It almost felt like, you messed with our Anderson, we're going to give you Mark Wood. That's what happened, Martin. That's where they lost the plot and lost the test match. I'm not a big win-wish predictor fan, but at least it gives you some idea of where the match is going. From being 64%, England to win, it just went to 1% in the space of 1.5 hours. As well as Bumrah and Shami batted, Joe Root and the bowlers let them get away with it.
They did indeed. So a couple more nominations. One from Hemant Jamani, who says, good. Indian Pacers, they are just too good for any team in any condition, apart from New Zealand, obviously. Best pace attack at the moment. Maybe apart from New Zealand, it's a pretty close one. And from Cute Cats, a nomination for Bad, Siraj and Bumrah not getting man of the match. Player of the match. We say player of the match now. But and I think that part of that is, as you said, we've forgotten about Rahul by that stage, but also, it was a good pitch for batting too. And India's bowlers, you have to give them a huge amount of credit for what they did on a pitch. And Siraj, when you talk about them being fired up, Siraj was certainly fired up. And I kind of like that about him. I love Siraj's feistiness. And then Bumrah rubbed off onto Bumrah as well, who came in steaming in like a steam train full of steam. It was steaming. So, it's always the way, isn't it? So it probably says more about cricket that you still get it in a game. Yeah, it was an important innings, but in a game where the bowlers did so much, including scoring some incredibly important runs, it's typical cricket. We're going to give it to the batter.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I know. And you're absolutely right. It wasn't a pitch where, you expected both teams or any team to take 20 wickets like India did. And, everybody's focusing now on day 5 and what the Indian bowlers did. I thought they did extraordinarily well, even on day 3, to pull the match back. When Root was batting, as magically as he was, and he did get some support from the likes of Bairstow. I thought the Indian fast bowlers in particular really stuck to it. And brought India back into the match. And it was the sunniest of the 5 days. The pitch was it was the best time to bat on. And India never let England run too far away from them. England could have, a good England team would have. But they kept him in the game. And Siraj, 7 test match, Mel, it's just incredible, his growth as a test cricketer. He looked like he belonged on Boxing Day when he took the new ball. But you can see just the confidence that the team management and the captain have in him, that you give him the ball. And, Bumrah, the only time I've seen him so fired up is when he's upset with his own self and he's kicking the 30-yard cycle rings around when he gets really upset. That's more knocking the bails off. But he was really fired up. But Siraj just seems fired up looks like he's fired up from the moment he wakes up. He's just full of fire. And he really, twice he struck in the same over back to back at one point. He opened the game up and finished it off in the end. So is India's pace attack the best in the world? I think they're on par. They're getting on par with New Zealand, but we'll have to see these 4 play together a lot more. They do have greater depth for sure than New Zealand. They have Shardul Thakur, they have Umesh Yadav, and a lot of new guys coming through. But in terms of just the 4 who play, I guess New Zealand just slightly ahead.
Oh, God, that's a great picture, isn't it? Yeah, it is. That's a brilliant picture. Arpan says, it won't be good if we don't talk about the Windies' great performance. Also, Ian Bishop calling it. Look, Bish has made an art form about calling the big moments, not just for West Indies cricket, but when it is West Indies cricket. That I can't think of anyone else I would want behind the microphone at big moments in West Indies cricket, because he brings with him so much history, knowledge, passion, and just the words and his way to, I guess, enhance the drama of the moment and use silence as well as words. He's just, he's one of my favorite commentators out there. I think he's absolutely wonderful. And I mean, it was brilliant. And I guess, the contrast, we're so used to seeing so much focus on India and England and Australia, when they play, and even South Africa and New Zealand of late, to see 2 sides who've got a really rich and interesting history as West Indies and Pakistan. It's not the first sort of last ditch win and close contest between these sides, whether you go back 20 years, of course, to Antigua. To see Kemar Roach out there in the middle as well, someone who's kind of given his all really for Test cricket. There he is with seals suspended in air, and he sort of taught him so much. So he spoke afterwards and said he's never been in that sort of situation, batting with the tail, and to see him help them home. I mean, obviously gut-wrenching for Pakistan in the end, but even they kind of acknowledged it was something, special match to be a part of. So while we all sort of go, India, England, it's a really big series. It's I hope there's a fair amount of attention put onto countries and contests like West Indies, Pakistan.
It's our responsibility to do so, Mel. I saw a lot of people, as soon as this test match finished, talking about, we'll forget about it in a week. But I guess if you don't want to forget it, don't forget it. I don't get that logic at all about, if it's India, England, or it's the Ashes, people talk about it. I guess it's up to, people like you and me, and for fans to talk about these test matches a lot, which we always do. If it's West Indies, I'll never stop talking about it. And just coming to Ian Bishop, you look at his history as well, right, Mel? He came into the side in the late 80s, towards the end of that incredible run. His first, 5 or 6 years through 2 back surgeries is when West Indies started losing grip of, that top position in Test cricket. 95, I don't know whether Ian Bishop played much of a role in that series when Australia beat them. And then, and he was part of the struggling West Indies towards the latter half of the 90s. So he's been there. He's felt a few highs, but a lot of lows as a Test cricketer. And as a commentator, well, he's been around for the last 20 years. He is arguably the best read commentator in world cricket. I guess Simon Dool, gives him gives him a run for his money. And I'm talking global cricket, of course. Michael Anthony. Unfortunately, they don't get to travel as much as a Bishop or a Dool. And that passion that comes through Ian Bishop is genuine because he's experienced everything there is to experience in West Indies cricket as a player and now as a commentator. And you both of us know him pretty well, and he's genuinely just a passionate guy. I mean, the Ian Bishop you hear on commentaries cannot be more different to the Ian Bishop when he's not doing commentary. He's just the quietest soul you'll ever find. A lot of his colleagues in the commentary box find him very boring because he never steps out. Once he's done with his gig, he just goes to his room and never leaves. So to see him get so excited, it warms your heart, and it always warms my heart when West Indies do well. There you go.
Resplendent in red. What a champion.
As always, making a great point. And he does a lot of under-19 World Cups as well. So we love talking about it. He recognizes talent. Jaden Seals and a lot of young cricketers have come through the ranks. With Ian Bishop commentating about them, not just in West Indies, around the world. Look,
women's cricket as well. He's one of the best commentators on women's cricket because he knows his stuff. He knows it really well. So it's not just men's cricket.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. And look, you spoke about West Indies, Pakistan. During the 80s when West Indies were at their peak, the one team that challenged them consistently was Pakistan, right? And it's such an underrated rivalry. And not just because both teams are unpredictable. It's just that both not only can find ways of losing from any situation, they can also find ways of winning from any situation. And both are in different stages of transformation. It's a great start for West Indies in the World Test Championships. Maybe in 2 years they'll make the final. Fingers crossed.
They will. And also, by the way, why is no one making any nominations about Justin Langer? If someone makes a nomination about Justin Langer now, I can guarantee it's going to get on the show. So
Ram, my brother. Is Ram's brother, as you well know. Your Hindu mythology, Mel. Time for hashtag Langer out, he asked.
Where? Oh, I missed that one. Hang on.
At 3:25 p.m.
Wow. Okay. It's gone past me. I have to scroll back because we have had a lot of nominations today. If we can bring up Ram's tweet, then if the guys can go back and find it. Well, what do we make of all of this? It's escalated even more today.
It has, and you played your role in escalating it, I would say.
I did not.
A minor role, yeah. I mean, you just got Aaron Finch talking about there you go. There's my brother Ram talking about asking us whether it's time for Langer out. There's that other hashtag which I'm going to get trending. Ravi for Aussie coach. I think it's time Ravi Shastri was in that Australian dressing room asking them to show some ticker during the Ashes. How cool would that be? Ravi Shastri, according to all reports, his coaching tenure with India comes to an end after the T20 World Cup. He's won 2 series in Australia. Maybe he can come back to Australia and win an Ashes. Ravi would love that idea. I think he would. But yeah, I think that picture sums up Justin Langer. He's like, where is everyone? Everybody is abandoning me. Everybody's turning on me. And at some level, I do feel bad for Justin Langer because there's so much that has been spoken about him from various sources, some on record, mostly off the record. But we've not heard his side of the story. And hopefully that comes out soon. Hopefully Cricket Australia steps up and talks about it. Because I think they're not too far away from where I live here in Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval Hotel. So maybe I should just, of course, we can't meet each other in person. I should just stand outside with a hoarding saying, Justin, it's okay, I'm with you, or something, just to make him feel a little better. Because you both of us have interacted with JL enough to know that he's not going to be this is not going to sit down well with him. So much criticism from all quarters, and more than anything, he is someone who comes across as one of those people who loves loyalty and trust, mates and blokishness. Well, I mean, the whole elite mateship and all that. It's, players turning on him almost. It just doesn't, not going to bode well. And yeah, he must be feeling it.
I have to bring Frank Thomas has made me laugh by saying an Australia coach losing the support of Malcolm Conn seems pretty ridiculous. Malcolm Conn, of course, was one of the media managers at Cricket New South Wales, but also worked for Australia. He's written a piece today, which more than anything, I think that may be the thing that brings it to a head, where he talks about his time and the intensity of Langer, and suggests that some of the players would call him the grumpy coach, and how difficult it was. There's also one from Rahul Nutaki who says, ridiculous, JL's contract being up for debate 10 months before it's due. Now that's an interesting point, because he does have, his contract is up next Australian winter, so mid next year. 4 years is a really long contract in cricket terms for a national coach. Like that's a long time. And Australia were looking for stability after Cape Town. And Justin Langer was seen as the man who was going to drive that. I think the thing that's got me, not so much about him losing Malcolm Conn support, because he does like to stir media and fans of other countries. But when I was talking to Aaron Finch this morning, I offered him a fairly softball question, and I wasn't the only one. He did speak to other media. Other media asked him, about what was happening with Langer, and his response was just very unequivocal. And he spoke about, he took over at a difficult time, and he spoke about their relationship. I just haven't seen many of the players. You go back to all the players who were asked about those reports after the India series. This Cricket Australia did two reports, and it wasn't like there was this resounding, everyone's behind JL, we love him, we think he's the best.
Yeah.
And I know Adam Gilchrist has criticised the media and suggesting that we're creating the momentum for this story. But to be honest, I think Adam Gilchrist maybe created some momentum for the story by making those comments and defending his mate, and he's defending his mate, and you can absolutely understand why he would do that, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But sometimes there's momentum behind a story because there's a story, like it creates its own momentum, and that's why I think Cricket Australia may have to address it now, because it's not going back. It's not going back into the bottle. But it must be awful, and I agree with you. I feel a bit sorry for him as well. But there's clearly something there that needs to be sorted out. If they were winning all the time, it probably wouldn't be an issue. We know that. But because they're not having a good time at the moment, we've said before, like if Australia win the Ashes, then maybe it'll be fine anyway, because that's what people care about. I guess the most pressing question now is if Justin Langer does take Australia to the T20 World Cup. If that happens, maybe they may decide to split the role, which would be incredibly disruptive just before a T20 World Cup with no preparation. Or else Cricket Australia will confirm that, Justin Langer has their full support of the board, which is often the death knell for a lot of coaches. But whether they throw their support behind him and make it absolutely concrete that he is going to see out his coaching contract, and they've got the series in Australia and the series against England, and Jay's just closing the curtains, and also that series against Pakistan in the UAE. So if they throw their support behind Justin Langer and he stays there and he has series wins at home and away, then I think that maybe people will be a lot happier. But there are obviously some concerns there. You're right.
Yeah, sorry. There are concerns with my lighting as well. I just realized I was fading away on my screen. I was wondering whether. Sorry,
Vital says, Bharat, fix your curtain, please. And Vital has also said, yeah, much better, mate.
Thank you so much, Vital. And
Rajit says, why Bharat's so shiny? He's just glowing because he is, a
crazy diamond, maybe. Okay, maybe that's pushing it. But Amaya, nobody was shouting in my house. It was just Ollie again, and I had to turn my mic off and ask her to shut up because she was barking away at some. Yeah, she just wants to bark at everyone, Mel. But yeah, you make some very good points about Justin Langer and his situation right now, Mel. Yeah, I mean, will he last till the Ashes? I think he will. Will he win the Ashes? I think he definitely will. And then what are people going to say? That's going to be the big deal. But for now, I'm pretty sure he'll run out his contract. And look, after 4 years, every coach has a shelf life. I think anyway, it'll be time for him to move on, and we'll see. There you go, Aaron Finch and Justin Langer. This picture
I
is
think that's from my piece that I wrote.
exactly.
You can go onto Sporting News and read the piece that I wrote. There's lots of other interesting stuff in there that Aaron said about what happened in Bangladesh and what they need to do ahead of the T20 World Cup as well. So it's not just about Langer. There's lots of interesting things in there. So just pointing that out.
Well, absolutely. Mel writes, go read. And I'm also in agreement with Ranjit Thorat. I think Ollie does deserve a place in the team. They do seem to like Ollie's, like he says. So it's a good point. Thank you so much for all these wonderful comments. There are so many, unfortunately.
My gosh, there are so many. I just have to point out Siddhartha Parida, who says, nominates as bad, Mel not getting her Christmas gift. And I'm peed off as well, honestly, saying that was because all I wanted for Christmas was for Shami to top score in that innings for India. I just thought that would have been absolutely wonderful because we spoke about it before, swinging Shami and everything else, and the fracture that he got in Adelaide. And that was a really mature, innings that he played. It wasn't him going out and going, you know what? I'm a fast bowler. I don't need to do anything. Yes, you're still shining. I don't need to do anything except swing the bat. So I took Virat Kohli's decision to declare quite personally. Just saying.
Look, Mel, Christmas is still a while away, and I think around Christmas time, India will be in South Africa. So who knows? Maybe your Christmas gift will come. Maybe that first test in South Africa, Shami will top score. India will hope that doesn't come down to that. But the way Shami, was getting in line of the ball and getting behind the ball, during that innings tells you that he means business with the bat.
Yeah, and just something that has quite upset me. Sahul Prosti says Bharat's hair is better than Mel's. I even got a haircut this week just before going into lockdown. So,
That's a very very good looking picture as well. Like Mel, I must say.
Yeah, I haven't done all the curls today. That was the hairdresser who did that. So,
I have a hair appointment tomorrow. But hey, before we move on, guys, my name is Bharat, not Sundaresan. And I can tell you Sundaresan passed away 6 years ago. And he had really nice hair, but not really long hair. My hair, I have to credit my mother for my hair. I have straight long hair like she does. So just putting it out there, Bharat, Sundaresan, long gone.
There you go. Well, look, we've been going for longer than usual, and that's probably because we've been away for a while. But we will be back. Please do send us your nominations. But I think it is time for me to put Bharat Sundaresan on the spot here, drum roll, for the goodest thing of the week.
Trying to adjust
Angel Bharat, what is your goodest thing?
The sun was, the halo was there. Anyway, someday it will be. I think the goodest thing for me, Mel, I'm not going to focus only at what happened at Lord's, but Lord's, Sabina Park, two historic venues, two historic test matches, great finishes in both, and that both kind of told you why test cricket in my book is the greatest form of theater. It's more exciting. It gets your emotions going more than anything else anyone can ever show me on TV. So that, for me, were the goodest things of the week.
Okay, that's a very, very good one, and I wholeheartedly agree. So, time for the baddest thing of the week. Hi!
Nah, you still, no. You still look more like an angel, even with those horns. Smell. This is not me being sweet. Please do not mistake this for me being sweet. But yeah, that was me trying to be mean, but I don't know how to be mean, as you know. Well, the baddest thing, we have to unfortunately bring up Joe Root and England again. And I'll just say this: there are a lot of nominations and a lot of comments made by our wonderful viewers about the sledging and the verbals that were exchanged in this test match. Anderson and Bumrah, that's where it started. it's, but the thing is, you can indulge in all that if you can, then you have players to back you up. And unfortunately, in that playing 11, except Joe Root with the bat and Jimmy Anderson with the ball, but it's different when it's bowling. You can't just be one person leading the attack. They don't have enough players to, who can then say that, okay, like, the team is charged up, we are fired up, we'll give it back to the opposition through our performances, like India did. When you have Sibley and Burns and Hamid all low on confidence, so too Bairstow and Curran and Butler, they're all trying to cement their place. Still, I don't think you can go around sledging people, because then it's going to come back to bite you. And it happened to England. And they also ended up losing a great opportunity to do well in a test match.
Yeah, exactly. We see it all the time, don't we? Players getting sucked in. Okay, and now time for the ridiculousest. What was the ridiculousest thing of the week?
I mean, I don't want to bring Javo up, but it's ridiculous that a pitch invader during COVID times has suddenly become a hero. Like, there's been so much written about him. He's giving quotes to, like, people around the world, and all because he invaded the pitch. He breached all sorts of protocols. And he encouraged someone else to do it the next day. Nobody spoke about that guy, because I think he was just an Indian guy who wanted to go up to Virat Kohli and give him a hug or whatever it is. But it's I found it very interesting that the bubble was breached, but the guy who did it became a hero. And how can there be anything more ridiculous than that in today's day and age?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe we all just needed some light relief so people will take it where they see it. Look, that is all we've got time for today. And I'm sorry that we couldn't get through to everyone's nominations. We've had so many today, but we really, really appreciate all of you coming on here and joining us today, sending us your comments. Make sure if you want to get a comment on the show, good idea to drop it on Twitter with the hashtag if you can. Drop it in nice and early. We'll go back before we come on through all the ones that we get during the week. So please drop it on there. All of you take care out there. I'm missing being out. I'm in lockdown. Bharat's not. I don't know when I'm ever going to get out of lockdown again. But yeah, some of this to you.
Before we finish, also our prayers and thoughts with everybody in Afghanistan. I just got a message from a dear friend of mine who, with his family, I mean, he is Afghan. He lives in Kabul. I could hear the pain in his voice. He just said that, the airports are shut. We don't know what our future is going to be like. We are thinking of an exit strategy, but at the moment, we don't know what it is. So just some of the images coming from, I know this is a happy show. It's about cricket and, what the good and bad and ridiculous things that happen in cricket, but there is real life. And what's happening in the real world is very painful to watch, and imagine how painful it must be for them. So our thoughts and prayers do go out to them, and help out if there is any way you can help out it.
Absolutely, and we're all looking forward to that Afghanistan test against Australia later this year, and seeing Afghanistan in the World Cup. And I've just been thinking about all the players as well, and the women players. They're starting to get women's cricket up. So I know cricket isn't the big issue here. There are matters of life and death. But that cricket's obviously a part of life for all of those people as well, and brings a lot of joy to people. So we'll keep our eye on it, and all we can do is, I guess, pray for people being able to have some sort of security over there. So yeah, our thoughts very much with Afghanistan. Thanks everybody for coming on. Please do give us a like and subscribe. Come back and join us. Leave some feedback. Tweet at us. We love hearing from all of you. We really do. You're bringing a smile to our face in some pretty difficult times. So do you, Bharat. Just saying. Oh. So do you. Thanks. Thanks for putting up with my calls when I'm freaking out, going, Anyway, until next time, enjoy the cricket. We'll see what's on offer, and we shall see you back here soon. Bye-bye.